My sisters wouldn't help me look after our ailing mother, labeling me the family maid. She had no idea Mom left her multi-million-dollar life insurance policy exclusively to me. When she passed, she turned up for the reading of the will. My name is Jake. I'm 32, the middle child, and this is the story of how my family fell apart, how I lost a piece of myself, and how my mom, a brilliant woman with a heart of gold, orchestrated the most incredible, heartbreaking, and ultimately satisfying comeuppance from beyond the grave. Growing up, my older sister Brittany and younger sister Kayla and I were pretty typical siblings. My mom raised us mostly alone after my dad passed when I was 15. She was incredible, sharp, tough, worked her butt off as a pharmaceutical exec. She built a comfortable life for us, paid for all our schooling, and had a retirement plan that was basically bulletproof. She was an absolute legend. After college, we all went our separate ways. Brittany married a finance bro named Chad, moved to Manhattan, and got busy with her corporate event planning. Kayla chased the influencer dream in Miami, posting thirst traps and relying on boyfriends to bankroll her lifestyle. Me? I stayed in Charlotte, working as an industrial engineer. Stable, boring, but it kept me close to Mom. We had dinner every week. I'd help her around the house. She was my anchor. Then 3 years ago, everything changed. Mom started forgetting things. Little stuff at first, then big stuff. One night, she called me, confused and scared, lost in a grocery store parking lot she'd shopped at for decades. My heart sank. Something was terribly wrong. 6 weeks later, the diagnosis hit us like a punch to the gut. Early onset dementia, aggressive. The doctors gave her 3 to 5 years. There was no cure. I called my sisters. Brittany was devastated but had a huge corporate retreat. Kayla cried on the phone but was launching a new skincare line. Neither of them came. Not even once. Mom had to quit her job. Watching her walk away from the career she'd built, it was brutal. She cried that night, and my mom never cried. She said she felt like she was losing herself, piece by piece. She was right. Dementia is a thief. It steals you one memory at a time. For the first year, Mom managed with help from me. Every day after work, I was there. Weekends, appointments, bills, groceries. My sisters sent flowers for her birthday. Gee, thanks. By month 14, things took a turn. Mom couldn't be alone. She'd wander, forget to eat, fall down. The neurologist said full-time care was needed. I looked at options. $7,000 a month for a memory care facility, or $4,000 to $5,000 for in-home care. I called a family meeting, really a conference call, because they still couldn't be bothered to show up. I laid out the costs, suggested we split it 3 ways. Brittany said her and Chad were saving for a house in Westchester, could maybe swing $500 a month. Kayla's influencer income was unstable, so she'd help when she could. I did the math. Even with their pathetic, likely non-existent contributions, we were short $3,000 a month. That's when I made the decision. I'd move in. I'd be her caregiver. I'd save money, be there for her, make sure she spent her final years in the home she loved, with someone who actually gave a damn. My sisters thought it was a great idea. Of course they did. It required nothing from them. I gave up my apartment, packed up my life, and moved into Mom's guest room. My commute doubled, but I didn't care. Those first few months, we had good days. Watching old movies, looking at photo albums. She'd tell stories, and sometimes, she'd even remember them correctly. But the good days got fewer, the bad days got worse. By month 18, I was doing everything. Cooking, managing meds, helping her shower, dressing, cleaning, shopping, yard work, bills. Everything. I cut my hours at work, took a pay cut. My boss was understanding. I hired a daytime helper a few days a week out of my own pocket. This arrangement, my sisters called me the family maid. My aunt told me. Apparently, Brittany had used the term, laughing about it, and Kayla thought it was hilarious too. They joked about it on their group chat, the one I wasn't in. Man, that burned. I was sacrificing my career, my social life, my savings, my everything to care for the woman who raised us, and they were cracking jokes from their bougie apartments. But I didn't call them out. I didn't start drama. I just kept doing what needed to be done.
Mom raised me right.
My sisters called Mom maybe twice a month, usually when they felt guilty or had some achievement to share. Brittany's charity gala. Kayla hitting 50K followers. Mom would smile, even on bad days when she wasn't sure who they were. Sometimes she'd ask me, "Was that one of my daughters?" It broke my heart every time. Around month 22, Mom had a series of small strokes. Each one took a little more of her away.
She stopped recognizing people.
Sometimes she forgot my name, though she always knew I was her boy who takes care of her. I was getting 4 hours of sleep a night. My sisters visited 3 times in 3 years. Christmas, her birthday, and once when Kayla was passing through. Each visit lasted less than 48 hours. They'd show up, take photos for social media, then make excuses. Brittany complained about the medical equipment. Kayla tried having conversations Mom couldn't follow, then got frustrated and checked her phone. After they left, I was alone again, with the harsh reality they found so sad from a distance. Month 26. Mom couldn't walk without assistance. I bought a wheelchair, converted the downstairs den into her bedroom, started sleeping on the couch so I'd hear her at night. My back was destroyed, but I couldn't risk not hearing her. Medical bills piled up, $2,000 a month, out of my pocket. I asked my sisters for help. Brittany said she and Chad were stretched thin buying a summer house. She sent $200. Once. Kayla said her savings went into her beauty line. They never helped again. I took out a $15,000 personal loan. By month 30, Mom stopped speaking in complete sentences. Just single words, confused, scared. She'd hold my hand for hours. The hospice nurses came in. They were angels, teaching me how to keep her comfortable, manage the pain. I called my sisters, told them to come say goodbye. Brittany had a $2 million fundraiser. Kayla was locked into a brand partnership. Neither came. Kayla sent flowers. Month 33. Mom stopped getting out of bed. The final decline. She slept 20 hours a day. I took a leave of absence from work. My boss, a good man, told me to take all the time I needed. For 2 weeks, I sat by her bed, held her hand, played her favorite Motown songs. I talked to her about childhood memories, hoping some part of her could still hear me. My sisters called once on speakerphone. 5 minutes. Mom didn't respond. Kayla texted me later, asking if it was worth flying out. If Mom wasn't aware anymore. I didn't respond. Mom passed away on a Wednesday morning, 3 years and 4 days after her diagnosis. I was holding her hand. It was peaceful. Her breathing just stopped. No drama, no pain. She just slipped away. I sat there for an hour, not ready to let go. When I finally called the funeral home, it felt like I was moving through water. Everything was slow, heavy. Then I called my sisters. Brittany answered on the first ring. "Oh my God, Jake, I'm so sorry. When's the funeral?" Kayla's response was similar. "I'm booking a flight now. I'll handle the flowers." Suddenly, they both had time. The funeral was 4 days later. I planned everything myself. My sisters offered to help, but I'd been handling everything for 3 years. Why stop now? They showed up the day before. Brittany with Chad, Kayla with her newest boyfriend, Austin, who wore ripped designer jeans to a funeral planning meeting. At the funeral home, the director, a kind man named Richard, told us, "Your mother planned quite a bit of this in advance." She was very specific. "When did she do this?" I asked. "About 4 years ago," Richard said, "and she updated a few things 2 years ago. Before the diagnosis. When she was still lucid." Brittany immediately started trying to change things, different flowers, different music. Richard politely shut her down. Mrs. Patterson was very clear that her arrangements were not to be altered. "It's in her contract." That was the first glimpse of Mom's final play, though I didn't realize it yet. The funeral was beautiful. The church was packed. Everyone told me what an amazing woman Mom was. My sisters played the grieving daughters perfectly. Lots of tears, hugging strangers, social media posts about how much they'd miss her. Kayla even did an Instagram story series about their bond. the bond they'd maintained through twice-monthly phone calls and 3 visits in 3 years. After the service, several of Mom's friends pulled me aside. "Your mother was so proud of how you cared for her," one said. "She talked about you constantly. She knew what you sacrificed." Patricia, a friend of Mom's for 20 years, looked me dead in the eye. "She made sure you were taken care of, honey. Don't you worry about that."
I had no idea what she meant.
The reading of the will was a week later. Mom's attorney, Rebecca Chen, sent us all letters. My sisters were very interested. Suddenly, they had all the time in the world to stick around Charlotte. Brittany and Chad extended their stay. Kayla canceled brand partnerships. They smelled money. Mom had money. The house was paid off, worth $650,000. Retirement accounts, investments, life insurance. They thought family was important again. The days leading up to it were tense. My sisters kept talking about fairness. Brittany said the house should be sold, proceeds split 3 ways. Mom would want us all to benefit equally. Kayla wanted to look at all Mom's accounts for transparency. Funny how their interest in finance suddenly materialized. I just nodded and said we'd discuss everything at the attorney's office. I got to Rebecca's office early. Brittany and Chad showed up right on time. Kayla rolled in 7 minutes late with an iced coffee, apologizing for traffic. Rebecca led us into a big conference room. "First, let me say how sorry I am for your loss," she began. "Your mother was a remarkable woman. She was very thorough in her planning, especially in the last few years. She updated her will multiple times. The most recent being 14 months ago. 14 months ago. Mom had still been lucid then, still making clear decisions. I remember her having a lot of business meetings around that time. She'd said she was getting things organized. The house and all its contents will go to Jake," Rebecca read from the document, "along with all checking and savings accounts, retirement accounts, and investment portfolios." My sisters exchanged a look. Okay, so I got the house. They probably thought the real money was elsewhere. "The total value of these assets is approximately $1.8 million, Rebecca continued. My sisters perked up. "Even split 3 ways, that was $600,000 each. Not bad." "Additionally," Rebecca said, "there is the matter of Mrs. Patterson's life insurance policy." This was it. The big one. Executive-level policies were generous. I knew Mom's was significant. Mrs. Patterson's life insurance policy has a death benefit of $4.5 million. The room went silent. Even Chad, who'd been checking his phone, looked up. $4.5 million. Holy hell, Mom. I had no idea.
Brittany was already doing the math.
"So, that's $1.5 million each," she said, looking at Kayla. "Plus the house proceeds." Rebecca held up her hand. "I'm not finished." She pulled out another document. "The life insurance policy in its entirety has been left solely to Jake." You could hear Chad's phone drop. "What?"
Brittany squeaked.
"The $4.5 million life insurance benefit is designated entirely to Jake Patterson as the sole beneficiary," Rebecca repeated calmly. "Your mother changed the beneficiary designation 18 months ago." Kayla's face was white. "That can't be right. Mom wouldn't. She wouldn't cut us out like that." Rebecca pulled out a letter. "Your mother anticipated there might be questions. She left this letter to be read at this time." She cleared her throat and began reading, in Mom's voice, or how I imagined it before the disease took it. "To my daughters, Brittany and Kayla, if you're hearing this, I'm gone, and you're probably confused and angry about my decisions. Let me be clear about why I've chosen to distribute my assets this way. For the last 3 years of my life, as I slowly lost myself to a disease I wouldn't wish on anyone, one of my children was there. One of my children rearranged his entire life to care for me. One of my children gave up his career advancement, his social life, his savings, and his peace of mind to make sure I was safe, comfortable, and loved. That child was Jake. Brittany, you visited me 3 times in 3 years. You called twice a month for 10 minutes. When I needed help with medical expenses, you sent $200 once, then claimed you were too financially stretched while buying a summer house. Kayla, your visits were equally rare. Your calls were even less frequent. When I needed support, you told me you were too busy building your brand. You used photos of me for your social media presence while providing nothing of substance to my actual life. Meanwhile, Jake was there every single day. He fed me when I forgot to eat. He helped me bathe when I couldn't do it myself. He held my hand through the fear and confusion of losing my mind. He slept on a couch for over a year, so he could hear me if I needed him at night. He became what you cruelly called him, the family maid.
Yes, I knew about that.
Your aunt told me during one of my better days, and it broke my heart. But Jake wasn't a maid. He was a devoted son who honored the woman who raised him by being there when it mattered most. You two showed up for the easy parts, the birthdays, the holidays, the photo opportunities. He showed up for the hard parts, the scary parts, the parts that required real sacrifice. This is not a punishment, daughters. This is simple logic. I'm leaving my money to the child who is actually my child when I needed one. The house and the accounts I'm leaving to Jake are worth approximately $1.8 million. That represents my life savings, my retirement, my careful planning. The life insurance policy of $4.5 million represents something different. It represents the 3 years Jake gave up for me, the career he sacrificed, the relationships he couldn't pursue, the sleep he lost, the stress he endured, the life he put on hold. If we break it down by day, that's roughly $4,100 per day for the 1,095 days he cared for me. Barely minimum wage when you factor in 24-hour care. Professional home care would have cost more than double that. So really, I'm not giving Jake a windfall. I'm paying him what he's owed for services rendered, for love given, for dignity preserved. You too will receive a token from me. Something to remember, what you called your brother, while he did what you refused to do. I love you both. I truly do. But love doesn't mean pretending you didn't fail, when you absolutely did. I hope you learn from this. With love and disappointment, Mom. The silence that followed was deafening. Brittany's face went from white to red. Kayla was crying, but I couldn't tell if it was genuine emotion or just shock. Rebecca set the letter down and pulled out 2 small boxes. Your mother left each of you a personal item. She slid 1 box to each of my sisters. Brittany opened hers first. Inside was a maid's uniform, the classic black dress with a white apron. The card said, "Since you found the titles so amusing, Brittany." Kayla's box contained the same thing. Her card read, "You laughed too, Kayla." I watched them stare at these uniforms like they were live grenades. Chad tried to break the tension. Well, I mean, there has to be some kind of legal recourse here. This can't be legal to just cut out your children like this. Rebecca smiled. Not a friendly smile. Mrs. Patterson's will is completely legal and ironclad. She was of sound mind when she made these decisions. I have multiple medical evaluations confirming this. She met with me on 4 separate occasions over 18 months to ensure everything was exactly as she wanted it. She pulled out another stack of papers. I also have signed affidavits from her primary care physician, her neurologist, and 2 independent psychiatric evaluators confirming her mental competency. Brittany finally found her voice. This is ridiculous.
She was sick.
She was clearly being influenced by whom? Jake. Rebecca cut her off. The medical records show he wasn't even present during any of the meetings where your mother discussed her estate planning. She came to my office alone. She made these decisions independently. We could contest it, Kayla said, but her voice was small. She already knew. You could try, Rebecca agreed. It would be expensive, lengthy, and ultimately unsuccessful. Your mother specifically allocated $200,000 from the estate to defend against any challenges. That money would come out of Jake's inheritance, but she was confident the will would hold up and he'd recover it in the end. She was also confident you wouldn't actually go through with a challenge once you understood the futility and expense. Mom had thought of everything. Even 3 years of dementia couldn't erase the sharp, strategic mind she'd built. Rebecca turned to me. Jake, your mother also left you a private letter. I'll give you the office for a few minutes to read it after we conclude here. The meeting was over. Just like that. 3 years of sacrifice, 3 hours of reading, and my sister's world had completely imploded. Brittany and Chad left without saying a word to me. I heard her crying in the hallway. Kayla lingered. She looked at me, tears streaming down her face. "Did you know?" she whispered. "Did you know she was going to do this?" "No," I said honestly. "I had no idea." "We're your sisters," she said. Like that meant something. Like that word carried weight it hadn't earned. "Yeah," I replied. "You are. And for 3 years, while I needed my sisters, you were in Miami posting selfies." She flinched like I'd hit her. Then she left. Rebecca came back with a sealed envelope. I opened it with shaking hands. Mom's handwriting, from before the disease. "My dearest Jake, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And you've just sat through what was probably the most uncomfortable hour of your life. I'm sorry for that, but not sorry enough to have done it differently. You gave me 3 years I didn't deserve. Not because of anything I did, but because of a disease that stole me piece by piece. You could have walked away. You could have done what your sisters did, loved me from a distance with phone calls and occasional visits. No one would have blamed you. But you didn't. You stayed. You gave up so much to be there for me. And I need you to know that I was aware of it. Even on my worst days, even when I couldn't remember your name, I knew you were my safe place. I knew you were the one who cared. The money I'm leaving you isn't a reward. It's compensation for what you sacrificed. It's an apology for what the disease took from both of us, and it's my way of making sure that you don't walk away from these 3 years with nothing but exhaustion and debt. Use it wisely. Build the life you put on hold for me. Find someone who deserves you. Travel, enjoy yourself, live the life I would want for you. And don't feel guilty about your sisters. They made their choices, and choices have consequences. I taught you that when you were young, and it still applies now. I love you more than words can express. You were the best of my 3 miracles. Not because you were smarter or more successful, but because when it mattered most, you showed up. Thank you for being my son. Thank you for being there. Thank you for loving me even when I couldn't remember how much I loved you back. Forever grateful, Mom." I sat in that office and cried for the first time since she died. Not sad tears, not exactly. More like a release. 3 years of holding it together, being strong, managing everything, and I could finally let it out. Rebecca gave me tissues. When I could talk again, I asked her, "When did she write that letter to my sisters?" "About 16 months ago," Rebecca said. "She came in with a draft. We reviewed it together over several meetings. She was very specific about the wording. During her lucid periods, while I was sleeping on the couch and managing her medications and changing her sheets when she had accidents, Mom had been carefully planning this moment, making sure I would be okay when she was gone. The woman was a strategic genius, right up until the disease took that from her too. Over the next few weeks, the reality of everything set in. My sisters tried reaching out. Brittany sent a long email about how family should stick together and how she'd always been there for me in her own way. She suggested a compromise that honored Mom's memory. I didn't respond. Kayla left a crying voicemail saying she was sorry, but that cutting her out completely was cruel and not what Mom would have wanted. I deleted it. Mom's letter was right. They made their choices. For 3 years, they chose their comfortable lives over being uncomfortable for her. They chose convenience over commitment. They chose themselves over family. And now they were mad that choices have consequences. The house took a few months to clear out. I kept some of Mom's furniture, her photos, personal items that meant something. Donated a bunch of stuff. Brittany asked if she could have some of Mom's jewelry, antique furniture. I had everything appraised and offered to sell them the items at market value. She declined, said it was heartless to charge family for sentimental items. I reminded her that professional home care for 3 years would have cost about $180,000, and I'd provided it for free. So if we wanted to talk about what was fair, she owed me roughly $60,000 as her share. She stopped asking for stuff. I decided to keep the house and rent it out. It's a good investment property, and I wasn't ready to let it go completely. The rental income covers the mortgage on the new condo I bought downtown, close to work, with actual furniture that wasn't bought in 1987. The life insurance money. I invested most of it, set up a diversified portfolio, kept enough liquid to pay off my personal loan, and do some things I'd been putting off. I took a month off work and traveled to Ireland. Mom had always wanted to go. I scattered some of her ashes on the cliffs of Moher. It felt right. I bought a new car. Nothing crazy, but reliable and comfortable. My old one had 187,000 miles and a mysterious rattling noise I'd been ignoring. I started going to the gym, eating better, taking care of myself. 3 years of survival mode had destroyed my health. It was time to rebuild. I started dating again. Met a woman named Jessica at a friend's barbecue. She's a veterinarian, funny, kind, doesn't take herself too seriously. When I told her about the last 3 years, she didn't run screaming. She actually said it showed I was loyal and committed, which were traits she valued. We've been together 6 months now. It's nice, normal, healthy. My sisters reached out one more time, about 8 months after Mom passed. They wanted to meet for coffee, talk things through, work on rebuilding our relationship. I thought about it, genuinely. Then I remembered 3 years of twice-monthly phone calls. 3 years of watching Mom ask when her daughters would visit. 3 years of carrying everything alone while they joked about me being the family maid. I sent them both a message. Mom left you exactly what you gave her. A token gesture. I think that's fair. I hope you both have good lives, but I'm not interested in having you in mine. Then I blocked both their numbers. Some people might think that's harsh. Might say family is family and forgiveness is important. And you know what? Maybe they're right. But I spent 3 years being there for someone who needed me. 3 years of sacrifice, exhaustion, and heartbreak. And my sisters spent those same 3 years worrying about their apartments and their brands and their social calendars. Mom's will didn't punish them for that. It just reflected reality. They weren't there when it mattered, so they don't get to benefit now that it's over. That's not cruelty. That's just consequences. A few days after the will reading, Brittany showed up at Mom's house. She'd been crying.
We need to talk, she said.
About what? I asked, packing books. About making this right. About what Mom would have actually wanted. She made what she wanted pretty clear, I replied. She was sick, Jake. She wasn't thinking straight. I stopped and looked at her. She made those decisions 18 months ago. Had her competency evaluated by 3 different doctors. But sure, she wasn't thinking straight. Brittany's face crumpled. I can't go back to New York empty-handed. Chad's going to leave me. Then I guess you should have thought about that before you bought a summer house instead of helping with medical bills, I told her. She left crying. Chad filed for divorce 2 months later.
Guess she was right about that.
Kayla tried a different approach. She showed up with Austin and a lawyer. They wanted to contest the will, citing undue influence and Mom's medical condition. Rebecca shut that down in about 15 minutes, showed them the documentation, the medical evaluations, the notarized statements. Their lawyer literally told them they were wasting their money and left. Kayla stayed on my porch, crying for 20 minutes. Austin eventually dragged her back to their car. I watched from the window and didn't open the door. The house sold to a nice family with 2 kids. Got asking price within a week. I kept a few of Mom's things, her favorite chair, some photos, her collection of mystery novels. The rest I donated. They want nothing to do with me, and honestly, I'm dealing with mine just fine. So, I've shared my story with you all. What do you think? Was Mom's will fair, or was it too harsh? Would you have done things differently in my shoes, or in my sister's shoes? Let me know in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear your perspectives.